Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You guys are good. All right. So I'm excited. Are you excited?
Yep.
Very good. I was sitting in the back yesterday when Raymond was down here enrolling people into his 10 books. So I'm thinking. I heard more wows. People even say something, and you're going to get this. And go, wow. So wow really is the thing. I was just thinking back there as Raymond was talking about cars. My Lexus dealer, if I take my car in for service, like the mirror is really cool because if someone's coming up on your side, it little blinks in orange letters, and stuff lets you know if it's in the blind spot. But taking it for anything, tire change, oil change, whatever, they wash my car for free, inside and out. And that, for me, that's a wow. It's unexpected. I didn't expect it to happen. So here I am telling you about Lexus. See, that's great advocacy, right? And we'll get into all that as we go here. So I always start my presentation with cartoons. So what I want you to do, well, first of all, let's talk about what this presentation is about, the power of wow. Right? And so we want to create wow experiences. So I'm going to tell you some of the research Raymond and I have done for our book, and also some things that are not in the book yet that we'll be writing. And also, I want you to have a few wow experiences yourself, okay? So we'll see if we can create that here. So I always do start with cartoons. The reason is when you laugh, you secrete endorphins into your brain. Endorphins are a natural opiate. And I know you have marijuana illegal now in Canada. But some people are still afraid of it. So you can get high without drugs if you want to. Laughing is one of the ways to do that. All right. So as Raymond and I were working on this book, The Power of Wow, one of the things we were looking for was how do we help people remember what some of the key aspects of wow experiences are. So Raymond came up with this acronym called BUMPER, which stands for big, unexpected, memorable, positive, extra, and relevant. So we're going to unpack those a little as we go through this little presentation. You see what time it is here, so I know when to stop. Okay. So, big. If you do something that's really big, it gets people's attention. There's all kinds of ways to be big, so we'll talk about that. Let's see some examples of it. Something called big league. Huge. We want it to be big and huge. So this is a restaurant in New Zealand, and that gets everybody's attention when they're driving by. This is a company that sells chairs. Definitely makes you, someone just said, wow, I love it. Another company, this is the same company actually. This is one of the largest pizzas ever made. So again, it gets everyone's attention, everyone's talking about it. The largest rubber ducky that's ever been made.
It was here.
It was here, yeah. And then it went over to Chicago and Milwaukee and different places like that. But it gets your attention because it's big. Now, this is a place called Furnitureland South in High Point, North Carolina. That building is several stories high, but the front of it looks like a dresser, a highboy dresser. Isn't that clever? Get a little better view of it. Yeah. But they have 1 million square feet of, what do I want to say, showroom. And one of the things that they do, you call up, the way they work, you make an appointment to show up there. People come from all over the world. It's very well famous. And then you get to choose the consultant you're going to work with. So if you like Asian furniture, there's a person that's experienced in Asian furniture. You like early American, French, provincial, you like Italian, Rococo, whatever. There's an expert in that. And then they basically interview you. How big is your room? You want to do the whole house, or are you just doing one room, whatever it is. They then will actually set up a showroom before you get there with what they think you ought to have in that room. So when you walk in, you can actually see it all set up for you the way you want it to be. They make your hotel reservations for when you fly in. They pick you up at the airport, take you to your hotel, take you to the showroom. They have a restaurant, top grade restaurant in the building, so you don't have to leave the building. Most people spend the entire day there. Wow. It's pretty incredible what they do. And there was one Saudi, they told us a story, we were interviewing the head of it, and they told us a story about a Saudi guy comes over, and he buys all this stuff, and it's about $300,000 for the furniture he wanted for his thing. Then he said, I want 3 of everything. Wow. He said, 3 of everything, why is that? He said, I got 3 wives. And he said, I don't want anyone to be jealous because this person got a better dresser than that person did. You know, so it was like $1 million sale. They actually have a bed in there that's about 9 feet long for like professional basketball players that are 7 feet 6 or whatever they are. They have one headboard that's an aquarium. The whole thing's an aquarium, so if you like to sleep with fish, you can do that. They have every fabric known to man. They have there's nothing you couldn't buy there if you wanted it. But the point is, when people go there, they have a wow experience. And they get brand advocacy, because here I am telling you about it. And everyone that goes there has that reality of being, get free publicity, if you will. Now this is a watch that normally costs about $130,000.
Wow.
If someone gave that to you, would that be a wow experience?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I forget how many diamonds are in that, but that whole band all the way around is encrusted with diamonds. So Patty Aubrey, who's the president of my company, I once said to her, we need to make, my goal was to make $8 million in 1 year. We haven't done it, and I thought it was my staff's fault. I was blaming them. They can't hold the consciousness of making $8 million. So I go down to Texas, there's this guy named John DeVore, he's a chiropractor, but he's way beyond that. And this friend of mine said, you gotta go see John. So I go see John, and I do a session with him. And he says, what do you want to work on? I said, well, my friend just said I should come see you. I didn't really have anything to work on. He said, well, if you did have something to work on, what would it be? It's always a good question. If you did know, what would the answer be? And I said, well, this thing about the $8 million, my staff. He said, well, let's muscle test you. I'm comfortable making $1 million, yes, 2 million, yes, 3 million, yes, 4 million, 5, no, it's you. So he worked on me for a couple of hours, and it was a session. We did a lot of work. And at the end, it was like 8 million, no problem, 16 million, 32 million, 100 million, $1 billion. I get all the money in the world. Nobody gets anything else. I win. And I was strong on all this. So I had told Patty years earlier that I wanted to make this 8 million. And if she was working for me when we did it, if she was contributing that, I would buy her this Rolex watch, which she showed me in Maui once when we were over there. And then the next year we sold Chicken Soup. We sold for $63 million. Wow. So guess who got a watch? I got an email that said, here's the good news, they're buying it. Here's the bad news, show me a watch. But that's a wild experience. With the Patriots, when they won the Super Bowl, where they were behind, and they came back and won it, this was the team ring that the owner, Mr. Kraft, who we know engages in extracurricular activities in Florida these days. Anyway, that's pretty much a wow, don't you think? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, this is Dubai. Raymond and I have both been there. It was really funny. We were both speaking at different times in the same venue. And I go back to the dressing room, and all these people that ever spoken or acted there, actors like Hugh Grant, etc., their signatures on the wall. And I saw Raymond. It says Raymond Aaron was here. So I signed it. Jack Canfield was too. But look at this building. This building, I think it's now the second tallest building in the world. They're just building a new one either in China or somewhere. But the point is, that sticks out over everything else. And when you go there, it's a part of if you're a tourist, you go up that elevator all the way to the top, and you look out over the rest of Dubai, which looks like little ants down there. And it's definitely a wow experience. Now, what's really cool about Sheikh Maktoum, who runs Dubai, is that he has a committee. The government committee, their only task is to break Guinness World Records.
Wow.
They're just to figure out how to break Guinness World Records. The longest racetrack, the tallest building, the most buses that ever lined up and did a parade, whatever it is, just to keep them in the public eye because they want another Guinness World Record. So when people come there, it's like, wow, 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 wow. I was there when they were having their version of the Kentucky Derby called the Dubai Cup. Everyone dresses up like the Kentucky Derby in Kentucky. There's a little giraffe. There's a little transitional object like Linus's blanket. And so they call the hotel and they say, my son is inconsolable. Can you find this, toy? And they said, well, we'll go find it, but there's no time to get it to you because the flight was about a half hour to take off and they couldn't have got there in time. But what they did was they found the giraffe and they took him out, put him on a stage lounge by the pool, took a picture of him and said Joshi, which was the name of the giraffe. Joshi just wanted to stay for a few more days and do some of the things in the hotel, but he said he'd be home in 3 days. So for the next 2 days, so now the child knows he's coming home. Son's gone. For the next 2 days, they take the giraffe. They have pictures of him in the golf course. They put pictures of him in the salon. They put pictures of him in the restaurant. They brought 12 other stuffed animals and put them all in chaise lounges around the pool. They were all hanging out together. And then they took the whole thing and they put it into an album. There's Joshy. They put him into an album, all the pictures, sent that leather-bound album home with him, along with another toy for his brothers. They didn't want the brother to feel bad that one kid got something the other one didn't. And guess where they go back every year for vacation? They go back to the Grand Kingdoms. They know they're going to be taken care of. Raymond's picture, where he went back to the Antarctic and had a picture with the penguin. Some of you saw that last afternoon. That's a wow picture, right? Because unexpected. You wouldn't expect to do that. Garth Brooks is a mentor of mine. I've never met him personally, but he's mentored me by reading about him, watching his videos and things. Garth, when he comes to a conference, I often speak to 7,000 people, 3,000 people, 10,000 people, and there are people up in the third tier of the basketball stadium when I spoke to 7,000 women, AMLM called Party Light. And what Garth taught me is he goes and sits in the farthest seat from the stage. And he looks down on the stage and he says, how am I going to get this guy engaged? How am I going to let him know that he's part of this concert? Anytime you ever see Garth Brooks on the stage, you'll see him do this. And what he does is, he's pointing to that seat at the end of the song. Right? Talking to you, bud, you know. And everybody in between feels like they're included. You know, I have a bad habit when I talk, or I've had to work on getting over. I talk to the first couple rows so I can see you. But the people in the back, they want to be included too. Hi. Someone the pace a little back. So the reality is that, you know, he's taught me to do that. So I'm much better at it than I used to be, especially when there's big audiences and you can't even see the back. But you have to include them. And it's a wow experience. I felt like he was talking just to me. And when people have that experience, then you have a wow experience. The other thing that Garth did, you see him doing it all over the place. This is cool. In 1996, Garth Brooks set a record for signing autographs by doing so for 23 straight hours at the Country Music Awards Music Fest in Nashville. He never asked for or took a break to eat, sleep, or even use the bathroom.
Wow.
23 hours. Because he's devoted to his fans. And see, now I'm talking about it. His fans talk about it. 23 hours. I read that, and then later when I was at this party light thing with 7,000 women, I signed books for from 5 till midnight, 7 hours. I don't know that I would have done that if I hadn't heard about Garth. So he inspired me, and people still talk about it. The high-tech company in California, they asked me, they said, we have this problem. We have this free trip to Rio that everyone wins if they make quota, but only 5% of people are currently meeting their sales quotas. And so the challenge was find a way to motivate everybody. So I went down there, did a workshop, different than what I'm doing now, but teaching people how to set goals and visualize and manifest their dreams and so forth. But then we did one other thing. This one other thing was critical. They had all these TV sets down the hallway. You see some old ones at the far end, more of the new type. And it was a tech company. And so they would broadcast things there, like the softball team will meet at 5:30 at such and such field and practice and so forth, and it would scroll through that during the day. And I said, let's take those videos, which means you have, and let's every hour on the hour show people being in Rio. So we keep reminding them. So this is kind of what it would look like. And every hour on it's the only thing we did, my one-day workshop, and then these all year long, every hour on the hour, showing videos, pictures, things like that. Imagine yourself in Rio. Every salesperson exceeds their quota by at least 10%. First time in the history of the company. Why? Because they were visualizing it. And when you visualize something, it sets up a dissonance in your brain that wants to complete the vision and make it real. Most people stop visualizing. That's the way to get rid of the structural tension in the brain. I'll never be president. Why I try to think about it. Instead of just keep holding the vision, then what happens, your brain starts figuring out how to make you do it.